Well, what do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin and Ethereum now? We've just had this big pullback. Why is this happening? Do you think they will recover Bitcoin and Ethereum? So the PPI came out. That's the producer price index, right? We just thought we had the CPI come out on Monday, and there was a great result, great result. And only on Thursday, 3 days later, we get a really bad PPI, producer price index, and everything tanks. Look at this. This is not what we want to see, right? Bitcoin right now is on a weekly double top. Of course, this is only Thursday midday, 1 p.m. US time. So if we can recover from this, and not do this kind of pattern over the next 3 days, by Sunday close, we're still looking good. The problem is, one, you've got a top and tail here, and two, you've confirmed with another top and tail here, and you've got a double top and tail, right? It's just not great to see. Of course, this is where we're only 60% throughout the week. There's still a lot to go. Let's have a look at the daily chart. Still not looking good. Like right now, just yesterday, just about 12 hours ago, when Bitcoin came down here to 121, I said to my Discord, hey guys, look, we can't, this is not looking good because you can't do a fake out like this. You can't just, if Bitcoin's going to break up, then it needs to just keep going and not come back to do a retest. It needs to, the people who are sidelined, who didn't buy here, needs to be sidelined. You can't come back and give them a second chance, right? That was when Bitcoin was 121K, and now we've come back down to 117K, right? Look, this is what I'm talking about every time. This is the previous bull flag, right? Bull flag. This is a bull flag. This is a bull flag. Once it takes off, boom, it needs to go boom, boom, boom. Keep going, right? Not give a chance for people who didn't get in to get back in. If you missed out, you missed out. So here, once Bitcoin took off, it shouldn't come back, right? And let the people who missed out to get back in, right? It actually trends upwards, takes off, trends sideways, takes off, and then finally goes in consolidation. That's the problem here. That's the problem, right? And yet we are seeing, Bitcoin pull. This is what I was literally warning in my Discord. We shouldn't be seeing it pull back this much, 121K, like 12 hours ago, and then the bad PPI number came out. We came all the way down here. So what is actually happening in the US economy, and will Bitcoin and Ethereum recover and go for a blow off top, or is this actually it, the top? That's what we're going to talk about today. Well, one thing that tells us that we shouldn't be that worried is that the US SP 500 isn't down that much. Look at this. It gapped down on the open, but now it's struggling to make its way back up, almost closing at the same level. See, look, almost closing at zero now. No change to yesterday. And this is NASDAQ composite, almost zero. NASDAQ 100 closing above. But as I say, this is only Thursday afternoon, 1 p.m. So the NASDAQ is telling us this is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. Let me show you guys why. US dollar, it's up today, meaning they expect interest rates to go up. US 2-year yields jumped up 1.7%. Look at this. I just want to let you guys have a look at this. It's up, right? If we broke down here, if this PPI wasn't a bad number, if we broke down here, right, that would have been beautiful, because US 2-year yields is one of the best indicators of where interest rates going. Look at how strong, how big this 3.68% level is. How many times we've bounced off this level, right? And this is the time to break down. If it breaks down, then boom, Fed is going to cut rates, right? And there's more evidence, right? I'm going to show you guys what the Fed is going to do from now on. But before we answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimen use? Well, Pablo uses exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show your ID. Trade with Pablo, right? Come on, trade with Pablo. That means the exchange itself can't even see you. The IRS can't see you. The tax office can't see you. FBI, CIA, nobody can see you because you don't need to show any ID. Win up to $25 US, right? Just by trading. And basically, just by depositing, right? Just by depositing, win a bunch of prizes. And here we go. Like $2,000, $4,000, 8,000, 15, 25,000 just by trading, right? Just by your trading volume. Okay, this is limited time only, folks, limited time only. And this offer ends on the 11th of September, 11th of September. But if you're watching this on YouTube, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. If you're watching this on any other platform, such as this one, right? That's okay. That's just click on my profile page and then click on my stand link or my link tree, and it should be the first deal that pops up because this is a great deal. Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. But keep in mind, this deal is only on the Pablo Human link. Only on the Pablo link. Okay, great. Now, so this PPI, why was it so bad? It actually came out to be 0.7% when the market was expecting 0.2. They've got a little bit wrong here, it's 0.7%, but it illustrates the point. Look at this. This is the highest PPI to come out, right, since what's this part? March 2022. Wow. March 2022, 2.5 years ago. And the market was exactly worried about this. Why is the market worried about this? Because of the Trump inflations, right? The Trump inflations basically tell us that you basically have the worst. The Trump tariffs basically means inflation is coming and it's going to come through the PPI. Because it's the components that producers use, that manufacturers use. Like he bangs on 50% tariffs on steel, on aluminum. Then what do you think is going to happen? When people make stuff, like where's the inflation coming from? It says 3.8, led by a 3.8% surge in margins for machinery and equipment wholesaling. Guess what? The equipment and machinery that American factories use, right, or American farmers use, like John Deere, they come from China. They come from then Germany and Japan, but mostly from China. You bang on a 20, 30, 40% tariff on them, what do you think is going to happen to the price of wholesale machinery? Or you can say, well, look, no, John Deere manufactures their own. No, they assemble them. It's made in China. Then they assemble them. Even for the rare American manufacturers of machines and equipment that actually manufactures in the United States, what's going to happen to them? Well, they would need to import steel and aluminum and copper to make them, right? And when you bang on 50% tariffs on those things, and then American factories make those things, of course, then the producer price index, when the item leaves the factory, is going to be much higher. That's just common sense. So basically, the chickens comes to roost. Look, the only thing I'll say is, the good thing is the market has not crapped itself. The market still wants to go up. So, okay, look, here, Bitcoin's still gone down 4%. Ethereum's only gone down 4.2%. It's still outperforming Bitcoin. So what's happening to Ethereum right now? Ethereum has a chance to close up here. Like we saw Bitcoin, which is a big solid bar down. That's just a bearish reversal candle, right? So far, and that's not good. And so far, Ethereum's putting a bearish Ethereum reversal candle as well. But we're probably like about 6 hours from close of the day, from this daily close. So we don't want to close below 4,590. We want to close above 4,590. When it does, right, then we get a candle like this. Then there's still a chance we could, make a sideways, a smaller pullback. Now, because ETH has pulled back, we're not at the close of the day, but these sort of things are not what we want to see. What I want to highlight is this. Remember here, the stocks are essentially flat. Nasdaq Composite is flat, in fact green. QQQ, Nasdaq 100 ETF is green. Spider SP 500 is almost flat, right? And yet Bitcoin's down like 4%, Ethereum's down like 4%, right? Everything else is down like 6, 7, 8%. So the thing is this. I believe this is an overreaction from Bitcoin and Ethereum. When stocks are telling you inflation is not the worry here. They want to keep on going up. They want to keep on hitting that new all-time high, which is why I maintain my call for a new all-time high, right? For a blow off top as well. So therefore, so then why do Bitcoin and Ethereum does this? Because there's too many longs. Too many guys are going longs. When Pablo called for you guys to go long when it was low, I said, we're going to hit a new all-time high. We're going to go for a blow off top. That was the time to do it. Not when it's actually at a new all-time high, when it's actually high, people pile in and people are late, right? That's when they wick it up and wick it down to try to shake out the late longs and the late shorts. So basically, let's have a look at the U.S. economic situation. And at the same time, Trump is nominating people to basically, the new Federal Reserve Chairman to basically cut interest rates. Why is he doing that? Doesn't he know inflation's coming caused by his own tariffs, high tariffs? Well, it's because of this. This is the U.S. budget deficit, and look at this. This is under Trump. These are pretty bad as well under Biden. But you think with Doge, Trump is trying to cut. So you think this bar would at least be around here, be a little bit lower than Biden's, if not a whole lot lower than Biden's, right? He scammed Elon Musk into giving him $250 million or $80 million, whatever it was, to win the election. And he led Elon Musk to believe that they're really actually going to cut, spending in the U.S. using that Doge thing, DOGE, and yet he bangs on a budget deficit that's higher than Biden's, and in fact, it's way higher than any of. Look, this is 2017 to 2020. That's the first 4 years of Trump. He's gone way above. He's more than double, triple the budget deficit of his first 4 years. Why is he doing this? Right? And it's the only year that comes close is this, 2021. Oh, by the way, what's 2021? Oh, COVID year. It's the 12 month after COVID. Do we have some sort of major viral catastrophe? Some disease that's going around? Some biblical plague that's going on right now that we don't know about? No, but that's what Trump is doing, right? Basically a massive trade deficit and a budget deficit. And when you have budget deficits that huge, then basically means it basically means United States needs to borrow. What is that? Like 300 billion? Well, that's just for the month of July, by the way. They're comparing across July. So basically, it's like U.S. debt is heading to 38 trillion by the end of this year, $38 trillion. And Trump needs to pay, or U.S. government needs to pay, like 3.5%, 3.2% interest rate on all of that, which is essentially something like over $1.2 trillion, just in interest, not paying back principal, just in interest. So therefore, don't you want to be paying it back in lower interest? So therefore, if the Fed lowers interest, right, then basically the less debt and less interest the U.S. government Treasury needs to pay. So basically, this is obviously. Trump has spoken about this himself. He says for every 100 basis points that the Fed cuts, then we pay back like $250 or $500 billion less, no, $250 billion less in interest rates. Okay. Now, what can Trump do to save America? What can he do to save America from all this? The solution is actually really simple. It's really simple. So you're worried as well that U.S. has an inflation problem, right? If there's an inflation problem, it's just bad for everybody. Bad for the stock market, bad for bonds, bad for crypto, bad for Bitcoin. Believe it or not, Bitcoin's actually not an inflation hedge. How do I know? Inflation hit 9% in 2022. You remember? It was only 2.5 years ago when US CPI was 9.1%. And what did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin tanked to 15K. Why? Because the Fed kept on hiking interest rates. That's why Bitcoin hates high interest rates, just like the stock market, just like bonds. So how do you keep inflation low in the United States? It's really simple, guys. It's really simple, fucking simple. I'm going to blow your mind. Here, the top chart is China PPI, Producer Price Index. This is the US CPI, which is just blew out to 3.1 today, right? This is an old chart, like it's 1 month old. This just blew out to 3.1%. So do we see every time basically China tops in their PPI, US tops. China bottoms in their PPI, US bottoms. China tops, US tops. China bottoms, and then a few months later, US bottoms. China tops, US tops. China bottoms, US bottoms. China tops, and then 3 months later, US tops. Right? China bottoms, 2 months later, US bottoms. What are you trying to say, Pablo? Well, do you not see that there's a high correlation between China PPI and US CPI? It's the most obvious thing in the world. Well, you even just by looking at this chart, you realize, oh, that's how US can solve its inflation or CPI problem, right? And then you wonder to yourself, well, what is China PPI? Well, China PPI is same as US PPI, except it's in China. Producer Price Index, which producer, see, CPI means Consumer PI Price Index. This is Producer Price Index. Consumer Price Index is consumer is you guys and myself. We buy stuff. We buy stuff, right? Producer Price Index, PPI, is people who produce, the manufacturers. When manufacturers, people in China produce stuff cheaply, when that price is falling, PPI is falling, then of course US CPI tops and goes down. When Chinese prices are falling out of the factories, then of course US consumer prices go down. It's almost a one-to-one relationship. Sometimes you can see there's a slight lag, right? And that makes complete sense because if the factory prices are going down in China, then Walmart prices and Costco and Amazon prices in the US are going down. Of course that happens. And look at this. China, since 2021, this is 2021, has had this is 0%. This is -5, -10, has had like a -5% to even today, this last month, -3.6% drop in PPI. Their factories are not doing well. I'm not saying they're collapsing, but they're not doing well. So the prices are actually going down, coming out of their factories, getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper every month, right? It's going down by 5% compared to a year ago, or 3.6% compared to a year ago. And Americans are buying these goods. And so therefore, inflation should go down. But what does Trump want to do? Bang, 50% tariffs. Bang, 20% tariffs on China, Japan, Germany, everything US imports, right? And then Trump says stuff like winning for America. I'll show you what's winning. Here is what's winning. This is my page for yesterday. I haven't refreshed it. I'm going to refresh it right now. This is a probability of December rate cut, 5% chance of one rate cut, 37% chance of 2 rate cuts, and 57% chance of 3 rate cuts in December. Refresh page right now, and what are the probabilities at right now? Right? Let's go to December. Right now we have 0.7% chance of no rate cut, right? And only 41% chance of 3 rate cuts. So all the probabilities have gone down. Now, just a few hours ago, I posted in my Discord that the market was actually pricing in 4% chance of 50 basis points cut. This is 7% chance of 25 of no cut. This is right now, 7% chance of no rate cut, 93% chance of 25 points cut, but just a few hours ago, we had 4% chance of a 50 points cut, and 0 chance here of no cut. Now we're up to 7% chance, right? So I don't want to say Trump is doing the wrong thing because there are a lot of MAGA supporters out there, right? Make America great again. And I say, well, how great? Like, what do you mean by, like, back to the 70s, wink, wink, back to the 70s? I'm like, 70s? That's when US had stagflation. So that's what you want? That's exactly what these Trump policies are leading to. We can see US jobs getting weak and fake. It's That's just the data. That's why you have rate cuts. That's why you have these rate cuts priced in right now, because the job market was pretty weak, as we saw last month. And you also have these. Now you also have PPI shooting through the roof. So you've got inflation, you've got weak jobs, which is what they call stagflation, coming up. Pablo's been saying this for a long time. And people go like, no, you're flip-flopping. You're not saying, you're saying there's going to be a blow off top. Yes, mate. Yes, I still think there's a blow off top. My prediction for a blow off top and the top somewhere in September to November still has not changed. And I think there's going to be an altcoin season. It has not changed, right? But now we can see why I call it a top in September to November, because after the top, it goes down into a big bear market, and we can see why. Big stagflation coming. Follow Pablo. I'm going to try to call this one for you guys as accurately as I can.